Professor Edward Chen, Council Chair, Professor Lee, members of the Board of Governors and the Council, distinguished guests, proud parents, and members of the graduating class of the Centennial College 2017. Let me first offer my warmest congratulations to you all. It's my honor to be with you today, and thank you to Professor Chen and the Centennial College for this invitation and opportunity. I guess I've been asked to speak today because many years ago, I have also benefited from a liberal arts education, and it has impacted my whole life and how I see my role in the world. It turned me into a citizen, a global citizen with interdisciplinary knowledge. I majored in languages and literature in Pomona, which is a liberal arts college in the US. I then got a law degree and practiced as a solicitor according to my family's wishes. But because of the seeds planted in this liberal arts university, I've always felt a strong sense of purpose. I've been more curious and entrepreneurial than my peers, and I could call myself a slash. Now, you know that this is a term used to describe you as millennials who have regular day jobs very soon, but who would also like to find their life meaning in social projects and realizing their passion and dreams. Now, I have been a lawyer, slash, urban counselor, slash, district counselor, slash, educator, slash, a social entrepreneur, slash, social innovator, slash, writer, and radio host for many years. And I've started and have been actively involved in over 10 educational and social ventures. I would like to tell you a number of stories of the young people I've met in my work at the Make a Difference Institute and also the Good Lab. Now, if we could move from Hong Kong all the way to the Netherlands, this first young man is called Boyan Slat. I hope that his sense of mission resonates with yours because his dreams are really big. Now, he will be 23 in a few days, so not much older than you. He calls himself an inventor and is the founder of the Ocean Cleanup. It all started 6 years ago when a 16-year-old Boyan Slat was scuba diving in Greece. And to his surprise, he saw more plastic than fish. What surprised him even more after digging deep into the plastic pollution problem was that no one made serious attempts to combat the issue. The question, why did we not just clean it up, lingered in his mind and led him to devote time to research why a cleanup would take thousands of years, according to experts, and was considered impossible. Now, this teenager thought that he could solve this problem. Isn't it a bit mad that a 17-year-old can come up with an idea when scientists cannot? But he did. He thought about using the ocean currents to his advantage and let the currents to be the driving force behind catching and concentrating the plastic. Now, you're not scientists and I'm not scientist. It's not important to know his method. And suffice to say that in his curious and liberal mind, he thinks that we should not go after the plastic, but let the plastic congregate and come to us. And he has this dream of cleaning up the ocean by 2050. Now, there are 1 trillion pieces of plastic littering in the ocean. I guess you and I might have caused some of that as well. Originally, this is only a small idea from a Dutch boy. It didn't get traction at all. He didn't despair. He dropped out of university, and with only 300 euros, he founded Ocean Cleanup, he spoke at TED Talks, and he started crowdfunding online. Then suddenly, one day, the YouTube became viral, everybody believed in him, and in 100 days, he raised $2 million US, and his case became the most successful non-profit crowdfunding campaign in history. Today, what is he doing? He's busy preparing a first full-scale operational system, going into the Pacific Ocean and trying to get the plastic to congregate and saving the plastic and saving our planet as well. Obviously, Boyan has received many awards in the past few years, but that is not important to me. What was touching about this story was that this young man has a dream that is bigger than most people's. He wants to clean up the ocean. It is true that in Hong Kong, we don't encourage young people to have dreams that are bigger than finding a stable job. I hope that you will be landed with very good jobs. I do hope the education you have received at Centennial College have filled you with more confidence and a can-do spirit, and I hope you can dream bigger. So my next story is a young man from Hong Kong, and his name is Arnold Chan. Arnold grew up in a middle-class family. He was a good student, and at that time, we still had the HKCE, and he got 9 A's. Now, he easily became a student at the Global Business Studies program at CUHK. After graduation, he landed on $1 million job at Goldman Sachs. So far, so good, right? All parents here should be very happy if your son or daughter got such a great job at Goldman Sachs. But after a few years, Arnold quit his job. He went to Beijing to be with an NGO. And then he founded a nonprofit called Teach for Hong Kong. Teach for Hong Kong sends young graduates with no background in education into the lower banding schools in Hong Kong for gap year. Arnold first became aware of education inequality when he was in secondary school. He visited a poor family in Sham Shui Po, and seeing the kid doing homework on his bed in a small cubicle, he wondered whether he could achieve so much if he was born to the same environment. After this experience, he became a frequent volunteer and tutor for low-income students, but he knew that it was merely a drop in the bucket, and it won't help to solve education inequality. After he quit Goldman Sachs, he was in Beijing. He worked for Teach for China, which is a charity that recruits top graduates as teachers in village schools in China. There, after a year of service in these village schools, the young people go into different work fields and became advocates for better education. He loved this model. So when he came back to Hong Kong in 2015, 2 years ago, he founded Teach for Hong Kong. He is now recruiting 20 fellows out of a few hundred applications. I hope some of you, graduates of Centennial College, have done so too. Now, what can these young people do in education and in a school when they were not trained? Oh, they can do a lot. For example, these fellows helped in in-class teaching and also gave life and career lessons for low-income students. They filled the role of mentors to help youngsters see the big picture. For example, in collaboration with a finance company, a Teach for Hong Kong fellow took his secondary students from a low-income neighborhood to the company's office in Central every 2 weeks to interact with his English-speaking staff. It helped the youngsters realize that English is not just an academic subject, but a bridge to the wider world. Now, you can imagine how demanding it is for a young person to manage a class, and he has to find ways to engage students' attention. He needs charisma and a high level of presentation and communication skills. If they succeed, they have what it takes to become a great leader. Teach for Hong Kong is a great program, and I encourage you to join it. Now, Teach for Hong Kong has so far raised nearly 10 million from government funds and from family private foundations. Like in China, these teacher fellows are not expected to be permanent teachers, but they will go back to their own careers after a year. I think Arnold Chan is the kind of young leaders that you should look up to, and he is somebody that Hong Kong needs. Arnold told me, however, that sometimes he feels a bit discouraged by the advice from friends and also family telling him not to devote himself to this kind of non-profit venture. I hope all of you in this hall will try to understand, support, and encourage these young social innovators with commitment. And I hope we can also think about redefining the definition of success. What does success mean to you? Is it just about having $1 million job? Or is it about having a person willing to make a difference and helping to improve society by his actions? Indeed, in the last few years, in my role as founder of Make a Difference Institute, I've seen numerous such action takers and change makers. In Korea, I've seen a third generation Hyundai family member using his family wealth to start a hub for social entrepreneurs and innovators. In Thailand, I've seen somebody who founded Ashoka Thailand, working with the universities and incubating great ideas from young people like you. And in Indonesia, I met somebody who started Unlimited, which allowed young people to make that first step. If you have a brilliant idea to improve society, you are given money to do so. Now, having heard until now, you might say, I'm not an inventor like Boy and Slut. I know nothing about getting rid of plastics in oceans. I'm not as smart as Arnold Chan. I haven't got 9 A's. And I'm not really wealthy. I'm just an ordinary young person. Well, I would like to tell you that what Boyan and what Arnold Chan and all of you should have in common is that as a generation of meaning and purpose, you should all have a sense of purpose that is larger than your own self. At the Make a Difference Institute, in addition to the many inspiring programs that we have, we also provide seed funding for young people who have ideas to improve the livelihood of others. And in the last 5 years, we have funded over 30 teams. And I have come across many people like you, full of passion about their very small action. And I'm going to tell this last story, and it is something that you can copy and emulate anytime. 4 young ladies, graduate of another university, founded a project called Translate for Her. Now, you might not have noticed, but there are many ethnic minority mothers in Hong Kong. Now with integrated education, their children are in local schools. But you know that ethnic minority mothers cannot read Chinese. School notices are in Chinese. In everyday life, they come across many signs and notices in Chinese. Nobody helps them, and nobody offers them instantaneous information. When they lack information, they are also left in the dark. You all know that information is power these days, so these 4 young ladies decided to do a low-tech intervention to give these mothers instant help. What did they do? They started a WhatsApp group and a website. Very quickly, many Pakistani mothers and local volunteers were added to this WhatsApp group. Whenever there is something that these mothers don't understand, they'll take a photo with the phone and they'll send it to the WhatsApp group. And believe it or not, within a few minutes, volunteers in that group provide an instant translation. Now, before that, nobody in the community noticed this need of the ethnic minority mothers. This multiracial WhatsApp group broke the language barrier very easily and provided access to community and understanding of local culture of these mothers. Now, isn't this the kind of project that you can also embark on? I'm pretty sure you will. To conclude, I hope that you are very proud of your liberal arts education that you have received from Centennial College. You will have more competitive edge than your peers to value social compassion and understand collaboration, because these are values embedded in your education, in addition to the international exposure, knowledge, and competencies you have gained. I can say this because this is exactly what I went through, and my education has prompted me to do what I've done to make Hong Kong a better place. Now, on this graduation day, as you embark on a new journey, times will be exciting, will be frustrating. I do hope that you will join hands with me and with a lot of the innovators and change makers in Hong Kong to make our city a better place. Thank you very much, and congratulations.